Hi guys, my lunch is almost over, so I think we have 8 minutes for me to do one more question. This question says, what is the solution set of the system of linear equation below? Okay, so we have a system of linear equation here. 3x plus y is equal to 3 over 2, and x plus y is equal to 2. So they want to know the values for x and y that will satisfy both equations. And here's how we do this. Okay, here's what we know. 3x plus y is equal to 3 over 2, and also x plus y is equal to 2. Now, you have to just try to set one of these equations equal to y or x, and then substitute the other in the other equation. Substitute that equation in the other equation. And what I mean by this, so, we should always look for the real easy equation to work out, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We are going to look at this equation, and perhaps let's find y in this equation. So this equation we're going to solve for y. Okay, to solve for y, we are just going to move x on this side and put it on the other side. So if this is a plus x, we will have to minus it on this side and minus it on this side to create some balance. And so the equation, we can rewrite it as, maybe I'll just put it right below here. We could write it as y is equal to 2 minus x. So now this equation becomes this equation. They are equivalent. We just changed the subject of that equation. It's no longer 2 is equal to anything. It's now y is equal to something. Now we know what y is equal to, so let's go back to our first equation. So this is our first equation, this was our second equation, this is our third equation. Our third equation is the same as our second equation, so therefore we won't use, right now, we won't use this right now. Number 2, we're going to use 1 and 3. So I'm going to rewrite equation 1, 3x plus, but now I am seeing y here, but I know what y is. Y is equal to 2 minus x. So where I see y, I'm not going to put y anymore. I'm going to put 2 minus x. And I'm going to continue is equal to 3 over 2. So now I combine these two equations. I use the information from equation number 2, number 3, which is what 2 was. Okay, and now I solve for x. Now you realize that I have 2 y's here and I do not have x. So I don't have 2 unknowns. The reason I did that because I do not want 2 unknowns. If I have 2 unknowns, then I cannot solve the equation. Okay, here we go. So let's do like terms. 3x minus 1x is 2x, and we have plus 2 left is equal to 3 over 2. Keep going. We're trying to find x, so we're going to take this 2 and put it on the other side. So it's going to be 2x plus 2 here. We're going to minus 2 and minus 2 on this side. So we're going to have is equal to 3 over 2 minus 2. Minus 2 is the same as minus 2 over 1. All right, so now 2x is equal to, how do we solve this? Remember, in my first video, in order to add or subtract fractions, we must have the same denominator. So I want both of them to have the denominator, a common denominator, lowest common denominator, or just a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 1 is 2. So I know the common denominator is going to be 2. And how did I move from 2 to 2? Well, I multiplied 2 by 1. So I multiply 3 by 1. So this remains the same. And I'm going to minus. How did I move from, say, 2? How did I move from 1 to 2? I multiplied 1 by 2. I got 2. So I'm going to multiply 2 by 2 to get 4. Now I have a common denominator. These are equivalent fractions. I'm going to subtract. Keep writing my 2x is equal to, now I have common denominator, so I just simply subtract the numerator. 3 minus 4 is minus 1, and keep my denominator 2. So it's minus 1 over 2. Now I need x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 2 and divide this by 2. Cross this out. X now is equal to, hey, let's work this on the side here. Minus 1 over 2, minus a half, divided by 2. 2 is the same as 2 over 1. So I will change, and I will flip. So I'll keep minus 1 over 2, and then I'll change the sign to a multiplication sign, and then I'll flip 2 over 1 to 1 over 2. Now I have a multiplication of fractions. For multiplication of fraction, I simply have to multiply the numerator and multiply the denominator. But look, I have a negative here. I'm going to multiply it by a positive. I already know my answer. When you're multiplying a negative, if you are multiplying two numbers and the signs are different, is a negative and a positive, so the answer is going to be negative. So I already know this. I'm going to put my negative sign here. If it was a negative and a negative, it would be positive. If it was a positive and a positive, it would be positive. So in multiplication, if the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. Okay, so now it's a negative. So now I simply have to multiply 1 times 1 is 1. So I put my 1 here. Over 2 times 2 is 4. I put my 4 here. So I know x is equal to 1 minus 1 over 4. All right? Now, time is up on me because I really have to go back to my class in 2 minutes. So I'm going to stop here. But what I could tell you is that now you can take x value. Now you know what x is. You go back up here to number 2, equation 2, x plus y equals 2. Now you know what the value of x is. You're going to substitute it in this equation. So x is going to be minus 4. How am I? I'm just going to solve it right away. Is equal to 2. So I put the value for x here. And I'm going to solve for y. So this is going to be y is going to be equal to, this is minus a half. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to add a half here and add a half on this side. It's going to be 2 plus, a quarter, not a half, 1 over 4. So how do we add fractions? 2 is the same as 2 over 1. I need to find a common denominator. So now you know 4 times 1 is 4. So that's my common denominator. And then how did I get from 1 to 4? Well, I multiply 1 by 4. So I multiply 2 by 4. So that's 8. How did I get from 4 to 4? I multiply 4 by 1, and I multiply 1 by 1, so that remains the same. So that's plus 1. So my y will be equal to 9 over 4. So here's my solution, x. So if I'm writing a coordinate, you put it in bracket or parentheses, it's going to be x value first, minus a quarter with a comma, and then my y value after. And so my answer is going to be this. And let's see if we get an answer similar to this on our, and your answer is going to be, okay, this video is vague. All right, it's going to be B. As you can see, B is the only one with, now guys, we could have stopped from the time we found the x value, because that's the only x value with a minus a quarter. A is positive a quarter. So the only possibility, the only option with a minus a quarter is B. So we could have stopped here in the interest of time. However, we just did the entire video, okay? Have a good one.